Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Dear students, you are welcome in this class. Today we are going to discuss nutrient use efficiency and overview. Learning objectives are to familiarize you with the terminology related to nutrient use efficiency, understand the factors affecting nutrient use efficiency, know the strategies for enhancing nutrient use efficiency. Means at first we will define nutrient use efficiency, then we will see what are the factors, why the nutrient use efficiency is low in India, and what are the strategies or ways to improve it. So this is the main topic. Now let us see some glossary. Coated fertilizer. A fertilizer whose granules are covered with a thin layer of a different material in order to improve its behavior and or modify the characteristics of the fertilizer. Most of the time coated fertilizers are made into slow release. Fortified fertilizer, a fertilizer to which another compound has been deliberately added in order to enhance its nutrient value. Several common fertilizers can be fortified with compounds of nutrients such as sulfur, boron and molybdenum. Like boronated urea is there, boronated SSP is there. So these are fortified fertilizers. Liquid fertilizers. Fertilizers in liquid finished form are liquid fertilizers, and examples are urea ammonium nitrate solutions, UAN solutions, polyphosphates, thiosulfates, suspensions and special formulations for fertigation. Liming material. Product containing one or both of the elements calcium and magnesium, generally in the form of an oxide, hydroxide or carbonate, principally intended to maintain or raise the pH of soil. So this liming material is mostly used in ameliorating the acid soils. Multi-micronutrient fertilizer. A fertilizer containing several micronutrients can be sold as solid or liquid and usually a physical mixture of substances. Slow release fertilizer. A fertilizer that is not readily soluble but releases its nutrients slowly over a period of time. Toxicity or phytotoxicity. Adverse reaction of plants caused by certain constituent in the soil or water that are taken up by the plants and accumulated to high concentration. This results in plant damage, reduced yields or even death of the plants. Urban compost. Compost prepared from urban and industrial waste, city garbage, sewage sludge, etc. Now let us define the concept of nutrient use efficiency. Graham in 1984 defined it: nutrient use efficiency of a genotype or for each element separately. We cannot combine all the 17 essential elements. We need to work out nutrient use efficiency separately for individual nutrient. So it is the ability to produce a high yield in a soil that is limited in that element for a standard genotype. Means if the conditions are not good, fertility is not good for that particular nutrient, then even under those conditions, if a genotype can extract the nutrient, then it is said to be nutrient use efficient genotype. Blair 1993, he defined nutrient use efficiency is the ability of a genotype to acquire nutrients from growth medium and or to incorporate or utilize them in the production of shoot and root biomass or utilizable plant material. So this Blair has gone one step further. He says it is not just absorption and uptake, that particular nutrient should be utilized internally in the plant system. If a plant can utilize it perfectly, then we can say it is nutrient use efficient genotype. The nutrient use efficiency can be defined as the maximum economic yield produced per unit of nutrient. Here N is for nutrient applied absorbed or utilized. Therefore, there are three criteria: whether it is absorbed efficiently, or it is uptaken by the plant, or utilized by the plant to produce grain and straw yields. This is defined by Faggeria. So, overall, in general sense also, efficiency means output divided by input. Nutrient use efficiency is the ratio that considers an output, that is biological yield or economic yield or just straw yield, any kind of yield you can consider, as the numerator and input as the denominator. Input may be your fertilizer nutrient. The biological yield can include either total above ground plant dry matter or total nitrogen. It depends. You need to define what you are taking numerator. The economic yield includes either grain yield or total grain nitrogen. Now, see this picture or classification of different nutrient use efficiency terms. It is for the students that we made it very simple. So, you can see this nutrient use efficiency is the ratio of output to input. See carefully, and then in output you can consider it as biological yield or economic yield. Biological yield is straw yield plus grain yield, the total biomass. Then it can be above ground biomass or above ground nitrogen. Instead of biomass, some people may like to consider it as total nitrogen, above ground nitrogen or nutrient. And economic yield, you can take grain biomass or grain nitrogen or nutrient. Here N indicates nutrient. Then come to the input. Input can be of two classes. One is nitrogen supplied from different sources like soil, fertilizer or soil plus fertilizer. So, when you calculate a particular nutrient use efficiency, you need to define whether you considered it just fertilizer or fertilizer plus soil. Then N uptake is soil, fertilizer, soil plus fertilizer. So, nitrogen uptake can be from the nitrogen or nutrient present in soil, or from the applied fertilizer, or from the both, soil plus fertilizer both. So, here AEN means biomass nitrogen supply, means biomass divided by nitrogen or nutrient supply, and REN recovery efficiency is plant nitrogen or nutrient divided by nutrient supply, and PEN is physiological efficiency of nitrogen. This is biomass nitrogen uptake. Now, you see certain values of different nitrogen or nutrient use efficiencies. Different people have defined it differently in their own way. For example, one index is partial factor productivity of a nutrient. So, it is kg harvest product per kg of nutrient applied. Formula is PFPN, partial factor productivity of a nutrient, is equal to yield due to nutrient applied divided by fertilizer nitrogen, how much nitrogen was added from the fertilizer. So, this is also equal to Y0 divided by Fn. Y0 is yield from the control plot and Fn is fertilizer nitrogen applied, and plus AEN. AEN is your agronomic efficiency of nutrient, and if you sum up these, then it becomes your partial factor productivity. And most conditions you can find 40 to 70 kilogram grain per kg of nitrogen. This is for nitrogen, partial factor productivity for nitrogen, and it can be as high as 70 kg per kg at low rates of nitrogen or in very efficiently managed systems. So, if your efficiency is high, that means per kg nitrogen will give you more grains. Similarly, agronomic efficiency of nitrogen. This I am defining with respect to nitrogen, but you can equate it to other nutrients also. So, agronomic efficiency of applied nitrogen, kg yield increase per kg nitrogen applied, is equal to Yn minus Y0 divided by Fn. Yn is yield from the nitrogen fertilized plot minus yield from the control plot divided by fertilizer nitrogen applied. Usual or common values of agronomic efficiency is 10 to 30 kilogram grain per kg nitrogen. The meaning is that 1 kg nitrogen can give you 10 to 30 kilograms of grain in case of cereal crops like wheat, rice or maize. Then it can be more than 30 kilogram also when rates of application are low or system of management, cultural practices, agronomic practices are quite efficient and you get more yield from each unit of nitrogen applied. Then recovery efficiency, mostly from the soil scientists, they like to call it recovery efficiency, and it is kg increase in nitrogen uptake. Remember, it is kg increase in nitrogen uptake per kg nitrogen applied. Formula is UN minus U0 divided by Fn. UN is uptake from the nitrogen fertilized plot or nutrient fertilized plot minus uptake from the control divided by fertilizer nitrogen applied. The common values are 0.3 to 0.5. Actually, you can also multiply it by 100, so it will be 30 to 50%. That means out of 100 unit of fertilizer, 30 to 50 have been used by the plant in case of nitrogen here. And it can be 0.5 to 0.8 or 50 to 80% also under best management practices under good management conditions. Now see the last agronomic index or the nitrogen use efficiency index, that is PEN, physiological efficiency of applied nitrogen. This is known as unit is kg yield increase per kg increase in nitrogen uptake from fertilizer. Formula is yn minus y0 divided by un minus u0. Common values are 30 to 60 kg per kg or more than 60 kg even under best managed conditions. So this is how we can define different nutrient use efficiency with respect to, in this case it was nitrogen. However, you can extend it to other nutrients also. Now you see it is quite interesting that relationship between yield potential and nutrient input. On x-axis we have increasing nutrient input and decreasing nutrient use efficiency. After a certain level, if we increase the quantity of the nutrient, the dose of the nutrient, its use efficiency declines. As you increase the dose, use efficiency declines. So this is shown in this picture. Now see another table, nitrogen use efficiencies as affected by nitrogen fertilizer. In first column there are different nitrogen rate. Second column agronomic efficiency, that is change in kg grain or grain yield increase per kg nitrogen added. So in this case just first you see agronomic efficiency. At 30 you get value 35, then at 60 it is 32, means as you are increasing the dose of nitrogen, the agronomic efficiency is decreasing. See the next column, physiological efficiency, change in kg grain plus straw, means in this case it is biomass and divided by change in kg uptake, how much uptake was there. So in this case first it was 156, then 166, then 182. So physiological efficiency increased up to 90 kg nitrogen rate per hectare, but after 182 it started almost declining. So as you increase the level after a certain level, physiological efficiency also decreases. Then third one is agrophysiological efficiency, change in kg grain divided by change in per kg nitrogen uptake. So this is also increasing initially 72, 73, 75, but after 90 kg N per hectare it also started declining. Apparent recovery 49, 50 and then it started decline, or you can say from the very first dose it started declining. And the final column, last column you see utilization efficiency, change in kg grain plus straw divided by kg per kg nitrogen applied. You can see 76, 83, 63, again situation is almost same. Message is that as you go on increasing the nitrogen level or nutrient level, after a certain level the nutrient use efficiency declines. However, it does not mean that it will not give you benefit or profit. You need to identify the best level where you get maximum returns. Now you see average utilization rate of fertilizer nutrients by first crop. For example, nitrogen 30 to 50% are the average values. For nitrogen from manure it is smaller than fertilizer, 20 to 40%. For phosphate, if it is mineral, 15 to 20%. Potassium from the mineral 30 to 40% and micronutrient very low use efficiency 0.5 to 5%. In general, these values suggest that nutrient use efficiency for almost all the nutrients is generally low, and it is more so in case of India. And what is happening at world over, you can see during different decades, trends in the nitrogen fertilization efficiency of crop production, annual global cereal production divided by annual global application of nitrogen. So you can see with the passing year, passing decade, The nitrogen efficiency of cereal production is declining. It is really very serious issue. That means by adding more and more nitrogen, we are getting less and less output, less and less yield of the cereal crops. See, I remember my teacher used to tell me, say 25, 30 years before, that 1 kg nitrogen will give you 35 kilograms of rice. But now I am teaching that 1 kilogram nitrogen will give you only 20 kilogram of rice. Means nitrogen is same, but its productivity has declined. That is also called as declining response to fertilizer. So here also the response to fertilizer is declining. Now why do we need higher nutrient use efficiency? Just we have seen that it is low. Then why we want to increase it? What is the objective of increasing nutrient use efficiency? So there are certain reasons or compulsion. Number one is economics. Low recovery means apply more fertilizer for the same yield. So that means to get the same yield of 30 kg rice, you need to apply now 2 kilograms of nitrogen instead of 1 kilogram. That is the meaning. So you need to get the same level of yield, you need to make more investment on fertilizer. So that is very important. That is why the net profit will decline. Environmental issues are also there. Low recovery means most of the, or rather big part of the applied nutrient is going waste. It remains unused in soil. It can go for leaching, it can go for volatilization if nitrogen. So nobody likes that fertilizer should pollute the environment. Political issues are also there. High efficiency will reduce the dependency on the other countries for the raw material. Because to manufacture fertilizer, we bring lot of imports in terms of naphtha or petroleum products to generate or produce hydrogen and produce fertilizer. Therefore, this kind of dependence will not be there, or we can reduce it. For example, potassic fertilizer, most of the time we are importing from other countries because we cannot produce it. Therefore, dependency on other country can be reduced. Technological aspects are also there. It has been proved that it is possible to enhance the nutrient use efficiency. The technologies are available. Only thing is that we need to take it to the farmers. We need to implement it right in the field so that benefits can be harvested. Now let us see, there are number of factors that affect the nutrient use efficiency. We will try to discuss in brief what are the factors that will affect the nutrient use efficiency. If we are able to understand these factors perfectly, then we can make amendments. Where we are lacking, we can make improvement by understanding these factors in detail. So these factors are soil factors, fertilizer factors, crop factors, biotic factors, climatic factors, agronomic and management factors, and I think you can go on adding some more factors also. These are some general factors. Now let us start with soil factors. Low supply of nutrient. If soils are not supplying nutrients sufficiently, then use efficiency will be declining. For example, low soil fertility, salinity is an issue. You apply fertilizer, but due to salinity, its use efficiency will be less. Means the chemical and physical conditions of the soil, if they are not good, the efficiency of applied fertilizer will be low. Similarly, alkalinity, acidity, iron toxicity, you apply a lot of other fertilizer, but in the field some element has become toxic, so it will stop others' efficiency, it will reduce other nutrients efficiency. So there should not be any kind of toxicity of any element in the soil. Then in that case, fertilizer use efficiency or nutrient use efficiency will be more. Of course, there are certain antagonism in certain nutrients. If there is no balanced nutrition, there is one element is in excess, it can reduce the availability of the other. So therefore, such kind of factors, means low supply of nutrients due to several reasons, could be ascribed to the low fertilizer use efficiency. Low organic matter content. Organic matter has a very significant role, particularly in improving the physical properties, chemical properties and biological properties of the soil. By changing or by improving all these properties, a soil can, or soil organic matter can increase the nutrient use efficiency. Because for example, I give you one example, suppose you have applied more organic matter, your soil contains good level of organic matter under one condition. In another condition, organic matter levels are low. So where you have more organic matter, the water holding capacity or water storage capacity will be more compared to the other case. Therefore, in this case, if there is no sufficient water, no rainfall, so nutrient use efficiency will be more where your organic matter is more because it has conserved the more water. So, this is how we can define the role of organic matter in improving the nutrient use efficiency. Similarly, it improves biological property. Organic matter also includes your humus. It stores variety of nutrients. So, it adds to the balanced nutrition of the crops. Therefore, it helps in the improvement of nutrient use efficiency. What will happen if our soil is having very low levels of organic matter? That means it will give you less nutrient use efficiency. Poor structure and texture, surface sealing and crusting. All these aspects are related to the root growth and availability of the nutrients. If your structure, soil structure is deteriorated, it is disturbed, it has broken down, it will reduce the root growth, it will affect the activity of the soil organism. Hence, whatever fertilizer you apply under those conditions, the use efficiency will be less. For example, soil compaction. Due to soil compaction, there will not be enough oxygen in the soil, and also there will be very restricted root growth. So, it will reduce the nutrient uptake. Whatever fertilizer you may have applied, but nutrient uptake will be low, the use efficiency will be low. High or low water holding capacity, water logging and extreme drying or poor aeration. All these conditions also reduce the nutrient use efficiency. So, these factors can affect actually mineralization, immobilization, fixation by adsorption, precipitation, leaching, runoff, gaseous losses via denitrification and ammonia volatilization. So, all these physical and chemical properties which are not good. So, they will affect these kind of processes which will reduce the nutrient use efficiency. Now, see some fertilizer factors. Fertilizer in themselves will affect their use efficiency. So, source of the fertilizer, rate of the fertilizer, method of fertilizer application, time of fertilizer application. All these aspects I have already covered in one lecture on fundamentals of fertilizer application. So, you can find the role of these factors. However, in brief I can say that source will affect the use efficiency. For example, very simple to understand, if you have urea, common urea and other urea is neem coated urea. Urea, both are urea, but in one you have little neem oil. So, this neem oil coated urea will give you more nutrient use efficiency or nitrogen use efficiency compared to the common urea. Similarly, for in case of rice, ammonium sulfate fertilizer will give you more efficiency than urea fertilizer. So, a particular source will also affect the nutrient use efficiency. Similarly, rate. In general, as you go on increasing the rate of fertilizer application or nutrient application, the nutrient use efficiency declines. I have shown you in some pictures very few minutes back, and you could find that the increased rate will decrease the nutrient use efficiency for the simple reason because nutrient rate is always a denominator in calculation of nutrient use efficiency. However, it does not mean that we should not increase the rate of fertilizer. We should increase the rate of the fertilizer, but till the point where we get the maximum economic returns. Then method of application also affects the nutrient use efficiency. For example, if you compare application by fertigation or application by foliar application or application in the soil. So, all these methods will affect the nutrient use efficiency. In general, recovery of the nutrient is more if you go for foliar application of nutrients. Similarly, the recovery is more if you go for fertigation of the nutrient because their losses are minimum and there is controlled supply of nutrients in those conditions. Similarly, time of application also influences your nutrient use efficiency. For example, potassic or phosphatic fertilizers. Phosphatic fertilizer, potassic fertilizer should be used at the time of sowing, they should be used as basal. However, sometimes unknowingly if one person broadcast or top dress phosphatic fertilizer in the standing crop when the crop has germinated, so it will not be useful because we know that it is useful when it is put near the seed or near the root. So, under those case because time is different, so use efficiency will be low under top dressing of phosphatic fertilizer. So, this time method, rate and source, all these affect the nutrient use efficiency. Now, there are crop factors also which affect the nutrient use efficiency. Crop characteristics, genotypes, varieties, all these affect nutrient use efficiency. You can understand simply by having two varieties, two kind of varieties. Take the case of rice, you have low yielding variety or high yielding variety. Say, take any high yielding variety of rice and one you take hybrid. In both cases, you apply the same quantity of nitrogen. Say 50 kg nitrogen you are applying to both. So, where you expect more nitrogen use efficiency? It will be by hybrid, because hybrid can utilize nitrogen in a better way than the high yielding variety. It can produce more tillers, it can produce more panicles per unit area and more grains, because its genetics is like this. It can use the nitrogen or nutrient more efficiently than the high yielding variety. So, crop characteristics affect the nutrient use efficiency. Similarly, under same kind of conditions, you have maize, you have sugarcane and you have other crops like rice. So, it will be more in case of C4 plants, because C4 plants are more efficient user of carbon dioxide also. Water use efficiency is high. So, similarly in C4 plants, the nutrient use efficiency in general will be high. So, these are important factors that influence the nutrient use efficiency. Now, see this case, nitrogen fertilizer recovery efficiency by maize, rice and wheat from on-farm measurements. Means now we are comparing the crops, which crop can have more nutrient use efficiency. So, this study was made by Kasman in 2002. See the case of maize, north central US. Number of farms were 56. Average nitrogen rate was 103. The nitrogen recovery was 37% by maize. Take the case of rice. The nitrogen recovery in one case where Asian farmer practice were taken, it was 31%, very less. Asia feed specific management, it was 40%. Then in wheat in India, unfavorable weather, it was just 18%. And in India where weather was favorable, so you got 49%, highest recovery. So, wheat has shown more nutrient recovery, more nitrogen fertilizer efficiency than rice. In rice it is 31, in wheat it is 49. So, it is by nature of the crop that wheat has given you more nitrogen use efficiency. And also weather does also matter, because you have seen if weather was not favorable, then the efficiency was only 18%. And if you have favorable weather, then it was 49%. So, weather also affect, means climatic factors also come into picture that influence nutrient use efficiency. So, let us see something about nutrient use efficient cultivars or varieties. Why they are nutrient efficient, what they do. Nutrient efficient crops or genotypes would have substantial impact in improving crop yields under nutrient limited conditions. Wherever we have short supply of a nutrient, if a particular plant can absorb better nutrient, we can call it as nutrient use efficient cultivar. So, differences in growth and nutrient use efficiency in plants have been related to differences in absorption, translocation, shoot demand, dry matter production per unit of nutrient absorbed and environmental interactions. Nutrient efficient genotype is one that better converts nutrient inputs into desired output than other genotype, which by comparison are nutrient inefficient. So, this is, I think, a very good definition you can remember about the nutrient use efficiency. Now, see some definitions of nutrient efficient genotype. A nutrient efficient plant is defined as a plant that absorbs, translocates or utilizes more of a specific nutrient than other plant under conditions of relatively low nutrient availability in the soil or the growth media. This definition is by Soil Science Society of America 1997. Another is by Graham 1984. The nutrient efficiency of a genotype for each element separately is defined as the ability to produce a high yield in a soil that is limiting in that particular element. Nutrient efficiency of a genotype or cultivar is defined as the ability to acquire nutrients from growth medium to incorporate or utilize them in the production of shoot and root biomass or utilizable plant material. So, all these definitions are saying almost the same message. An efficient genotype is one that absorbs relatively high amounts of nutrients from soil and fertilizer, produces a high grain per unit of absorbed nutrient, and stores relatively few nutrients in the store. So, all these points are quite favorable for nutrient use efficient genotype. Means absorption should be fast, or absorption should be more, uptake should be more, translocation should be fast, conversion of good product, economic product should be more, storage should be more in the economic part than in the straw and other parts. So, such kind of genotype will be nutrient use efficient genotype. So, you can go through the other definitions also, like see one definition by Gourlay et al. 1994. An efficient germplasm requires less nutrient than an inefficient one for removal normal metabolic processes, the simplest one line definition. An efficient plant is defined as that plant which produces higher economic yield with a determined quantity of applied or absorbed nutrient compared to other or standard plants under similar growing conditions. Now, there are some more indexes by which we can identify genotypes, whether they are nutrient use efficient or inefficient. So, one such index was given by Fagheria in 1988, Grain Yield Efficiency Index. It can be calculated to classify genotypes for their nitrogen use efficiency as follows. So, it is given for nitrogen, but it can be equated or extended to other nutrients also. Same way we can calculate grain yield efficiency index for other nutrient. See, Fagheria, he did it for phosphorus, but now you can do it for zinc, for any nutrient you can do it. So, grain yield efficiency index is equal to grain yield of a genotype at low nitrogen level divided by average grain yield of all genotypes at low nitrogen level multiplied by grain yield of a genotype at high nitrogen level divided by average grain yield of all genotype at high nitrogen level. So, such kind of index can be calculated only when you are screening some genotypes against the background of a nutrient. So, you need to take different levels of the nutrient. Suppose you are testing it for nitrogen, then you can take 4, 5, 6 level of nitrogen, say for example 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Similarly, you will grow say 5 or 10 or 20 genotypes. It depends upon your interest. You can take different genotypes numbers, say 5, 10, whatever you like, and get the data on the yield of all these genotypes under variable nitrogen rates. And this data, from this data you can get these value. For example, grain yield of a genotype at low N level means lowest nitrogen level just above the control, and the average grain yield of all genotypes at low nitrogen level. So, you can take average yield of all the genotypes at low nitrogen level. So, genotypes having grain yield efficiency index of more than 1 can be classified as efficient nitrogen user. Genotypes having grain yield efficiency index values between 0.5 and 1 can be classified as moderately efficient N user. Genotypes with grain yield efficiency index values of less than 0.5 can be classified as inefficient nitrogen user. Now, you see this value can be plotted like here. There are about 5-6 genotypes, and you can see the y-axis is having grain yield efficiency index. So, in this case, say some values are more than 1, 1.02, 1.11, 1.12. So, these kind of genotypes we can call them as nitrogen use efficient. Now, see one hypothetical response curve of 3 different cultivars with respect to available nitrogen. So, y-axis you have grain yield, and there are 3 different cultivars. So, you can see the nitrogen use efficiency of the 3 genotypes. The genotype which is producing more yield at the same level is the superior one, and the lowest line having this is genotype having the lowest line, lowest response is your inferior. It is quite clear. So, genotypic differences also exist in nutrient use efficiency or nitrogen use efficiency. So, why certain genotypes are nutrient use efficient means there are differences in root morphological factors like number, length, root hair density, root extension and root density. Root to shoot ratio differences may be there, mycorrhizal fungi uptake, rate of nutrient transport in roots and shoots, enzyme secretion as phosphate chelating compounds, and phytosidrophore organic acid production, metabolism at reduced tissue concentration of nutrient, lower element concentration in supporting structure, particularly the stem. So, there may be many physiological and morphological differences in nutrient use efficient genotype and inefficient genotype, particularly root distribution matters. There may be 3-4 different kind of root distribution. The plant or genotype which is having very effective root distribution or root architecture can extract more nutrients under nutrient stressed environment. Now, the fourth factor is biotic factor. They also affect the nutrient use efficiency. There may be variety of microbes, some are useful, some are harmful. So, definitely if you have more population of useful organisms, then your nutrient use efficiency will be high, otherwise it will be low. Because many times weeds and insect pests and other kind of problems in the field, they can reduce the yield. So, as you know, nutrient use efficiency means yield by nutrient rate. So, if your yield is declining, if your numerator is declining, that means your efficiency is declining. So, we need to stop or we need to protect our crop from insect pests and disease and weeds, so that we can improve the nutrient use efficiency. So, many biotic factors affect the nutrient use efficiency. Now, see climatic factors during crop growth, they also affect nutrient use efficiency, particularly in two ways. One is that they can increase or decrease the growth at the same level of input. You have applied everything fine, you have sufficient fertility, high fertility, water is not limited, everything is fantastic. But suddenly there is rise in temperature at the time of flowering of a crop. So, all will go waste, because many times this flowering stage is very sensitive to temperature. High temperature at this stage will take everything, you will not get more yields. So, because of this weather parameter, your efficiency can be decreased. There is no fault with the fertilizer, there is no fault with the soil or plant, but your temperature or climatic conditions can also influence your nutrient use efficiency. So, during crop growth, there may be two aspects, as I told you. One is it affects the growth, and secondly, temperature also affects the availability of the nutrients. Suddenly there is too high or too low temperature, it will affect the microbial activity in the soil, which in turn will affect the availability of the nutrient. Not just availability, this temperature, rainfall, all these factors will also affect the uptake of the nutrient, the translocation of the nutrient, utilization of the nutrient. So, all these things are really very complicated, not so easy to understand. So, these climatic factors like your temperature, solar radiation, light, precipitation, hail, storm, all affect your nutrient use efficiency. Again, sometimes your crop is doing well, suppose it is wheat crop, it has done very well, but suddenly there are hails, there are hails or there is big storm. So, lodging can happen, and you know, if lodging happens in wheat at heading stage, there is lot of damage to the yield. Now, a number of agronomic factors are there that also affect the nutrient use efficiency. I will take up in very brief these factors. And for example, continuous use of fertilizer nitrogen alone. It is very well proved that application of nitrogen alone will decrease the nutrient use efficiency, and it is more dangerous than not using any nitrogen. Means control is better than the just nitrogen application. It has been proved through the long term studies. So, better to go for balanced fertilization. Continue practice of intensive cropping. You are taking 3 crops, 4 crops in a year from the same soil. You are exhausting your soil of several nutrients, particularly micronutrients can become deficient in the soil. Under those conditions, your nutrient use efficiency will be low. So, therefore, now we see emerging deficiency of sulfur, zinc, manganese, copper, boron, iron, etc. under certain soils in our country. Use of high analysis fertilizer, for example, we were using single superphosphate, now we are using just DAP, but this SSP by default was supplying sulfur also, but DAP does not have sulfur. So, such kind of changes in farmers' choice are also discouraging the nitrogen nutrient use efficiency. Fertilizer application mostly not based on soil test value, we do not have very well good setup of soil testing laboratory, and farmers, or we cannot get soil tested in time or perfectly. So therefore, that is also issue. Sometimes in the absence of soil testing, farmer may under fertilize or over fertilize. So because of that under fertilization or over fertilization, nutrient use efficiency will be low. Inappropriate time and method due to many times illiteracy of the farmer or people, they apply fertilizer untimely. As I told, DAP should never be broadcast, but some farmers still broadcast DAP. So that is how time and method of application can also reduce the nutrient use efficiency. Excessive irrigation or excessive water can lead to increased losses of nutrient, and they will decrease the nutrient use efficiency. There may be certain antagonistic reaction between two nutrients like zinc and phosphorus. One will reduce the availability of other if it is in excess. So there need to be some balance between the nutrients. Low status of organic carbon definitely reduces nutrient use efficiency. Soil degradation, there are some chemical or physical degradation of the soil. These kind of changes also affect the nutrient use efficiency. Lack of adequate and quality soil testing, I covered it. Environmental degradation, delayed sowing or planting. These things are in the hands of the people, hands of the farmer, to do sowing of a crop at a right time. If it is delayed, naturally your use efficiency will be low compared to the timely sown crops. So all the agricultural operations should be performed in time so that we get more growth of the crop and also increased availability of the nutrients. And low seed rate, you have done everything fine, fertilizer application is good, irrigation is good, but you could not use the optimum seed rate. Either you used excess seed rate or low seed rate, because there is close interaction between plant population and rates of fertilizer application. So we need to have some ideal or optimum population to get maximum nutrient use efficiency. Weed management, weeds are not controlled, they are going to take up nutrients which were meant for the plants. Therefore, if weeds are not controlled, your nutrient use efficiency will decrease. Inefficient tillage also decreases nutrient use efficiency. Large scale monoculture, if you are taking one crop, same kind of crop year after year, then it is bound to get low nutrient use efficiency. Lack of capturing water nutrient synergy, inadequate plant protection measures I discussed, high intensity rain leading to nutrient loss, abnormal high or low temperatures. Now, what can be done, agronomic strategies to enhance nutrient use efficiency? What is there in our hand? How we can improve the nutrient use efficiency? So one way is proper land preparation. Proper land preparation is necessary because improper land preparation, you can get poor germination, you can get more weeds. Also, leveling has a role to play. Now, laser land leveling is in practice. Laser land leveling increases nutrient as well as water use efficiency. Adequate and balanced fertilization and liming is the key to get maximum nutrient use efficiency. Balanced fertilization can be done based upon the soil testing. Use of good quality seed always pays because it will give you better growth, and particularly insect pest and disease resistant seeds can give you more yields. Also, in some cases, hybrid varieties are doing well. They give you higher nutrient use efficiency. Sowing cultivars of high yield potential, as I told you, we should choose high yielding cultivars. Use of adequate seed and plant spacing, this is the key. Optimum population and optimum seed rate will give you maximum nutrient use efficiency. Seed treatment for the control of seed-borne diseases is also important. Appropriate methods of fertilization, especially immobile nutrient, like in case of phosphorus, we need to place it near or below the seed is the best way. Similarly, for potassium also, this should be placed. But for nitrogenous fertilizer, we can have split application. Number of splits can be increased, that improves the nitrogen use efficiency or nutrient use efficiency. Similarly, incorporation of nitrogenous fertilizer is good to reduce the ammonia volatilization. If urea is applied on the surface, if it is not mixed, the losses can occur in the form of ammonia volatilization. So just simple incorporation will increase the nitrogen use efficiency of urea. So top dressing nitrogen at the right stage of the crop growth. In cereals, it is at panicle initiation stage. Use of proper crop rotations is very, very important because crop rotations improve the soil property, particularly the soil health. And crop rotations also decrease the incidence of insect pests and diseases. Therefore, nutrient use efficiency is increased if we follow crop rotation. It is always low in monoculture. In monoculture, nutrients are extracted from the same depth of the soil. But if we follow crop rotation, because the rooting depth of different crops will be different, therefore, nutrient uptake will be in balanced form. From every layer of the soil, nutrients will be extracted. Therefore, the efficiency of the nutrients will be more if we follow crop rotations compared to the case where we follow monoculture. Soil erosion is very, very important. We need to control it effectively because we lose lot of nutrients, lot of carbon, lot of microbes from the soil in the form of soil erosion. So, soils which are eroded will have low nutrient use efficiency than the soil which are conserved where we do not have sufficient soil erosion. Maintenance of organic matter is necessary. One can add farmyard manure. There are number of studies which suggests that integrated management of nutrients using chemicals, biofertilizers and all kind of manures, organic manures can increase the nutrient use efficiency. Proper management of soil salinity and alkalinity. You need to correct the soil pH because under saline alkaline conditions, nutrient use efficiency is low due to low availability of the nutrients. So, correction of such kind of chemical degradation is necessary. In acid soil, one should apply the lime to improve the pH. Avoidance of minimization of water deficiency. Fertilizer has very good interaction with the water. Reduced water level will decrease the nutrient use efficiency and vice versa. Adoption of conservation tillage has been found to improve the nutrient use efficiency, and definitely use of slow release fertilizer inhibitors etc. Or now in India we are lucky to have neem coated urea will increase the nutrient use efficiency. So, these are the some patented nitrification inhibitors which increase the nutrient use efficiency, and fertilizer materials have been modified. Like nitrapyrin was the first nitrification inhibitor made by Dow Chemicals and it inhibited 82% nitrification. And similarly, DCD inhibited 53% of nitrification AM31. But in India, we have worked on neem coated urea and we have got success on neem coated urea. Let us see development of neem coated urea in India. Actually, neem coated urea act as a nitrification inhibitor. When we add neem in urea, it acts as a nitrification inhibitor. So, to take this advantage, now neem coated urea is in the market. Government of India had made it very compulsory. No common urea can be sold. Whether it is produced in the country or it is brought from outside, it has to be neem coated urea. So, Indian Agricultural Research Institute has developed this technology, and it started long back in 60s, 70s when the work was done. I am just giving you in brief that neem cake coated urea was developed by Prasad and Prasad 1980. Neem cake coated urea continued the research and trial at Indian Agricultural Research Institute, but this neem cake was very bulky and you needed lot of transport of the material because by weight it was about 20% coating of neem cake, which was not easy job. Therefore, it was thought to prepare something else. Then Pusa neem golden urea was made. This urea plus neem oil adduct analyzed 35% nitrogen and 12% neem oil. Again, there was no success with this product. It was not accepted by industry or farmers. And slowly then neem coated urea, then we started coating urea with neem oil and that got success. So, finally, Pusa neem micro emulsion coated urea was developed and now it is coated, and in the market Government of India has added it in fertilizer control order, and it contains minimum amount of neem oil that should be there, and based upon this the efficiency of this urea is found to increase. It is about 10% increase in use efficiency of urea. So, this is in brief about the history of neem coated urea. Now, I would like to summarize some points about nitrogen to increase the nitrogen use efficiency. Cereals need more nitrogen than legumes. Only 50% of fertilizer nitrogen applied to crops is utilized, rest 50 goes waste. Nitrogen is lost to the atmosphere as ammonia, nitrous oxide or other nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen also leaches down as nitrate increases nitrate content in groundwater. Nitrogen is also lost through surface runoff and erosion. So if we want to improve the nitrogen use efficiency, then these losses should be minimized. Either it is leaching loss, volatilization loss, technique needs to be followed to stop these losses. Of course, some research work has been done, but still we need to do a lot to conserve this nitrogen. Strategies to increase the efficiency of fertilizer nitrogen. For example, nitrogen applied at seeding should be deep placed. Nitrogen to a crop be applied in 2 to 3 splits. Splitting of nitrogen increases use efficiency. Inclusion of legumes or adoption of crop rotations or green manure increases nutrient use efficiency. Addition of organic materials, manure increases nutrient use efficiency. Application of organic manure, use of nitrification or even urease inhibitor. Now concept is coming for double inhibitor. First you use urease and then you use nitrification inhibitor. So both the reactions can be stopped during the hydrolysis of urea when it is nitrified. So use of slow release or coated nitrogen fertilizer should be increased, and use of biofertilizer is also important to improve the nitrogen use efficiency. Now let us see about phosphorus. Points to remember: for making phosphorus fertilizers, both phosphate rock and sulfur have to be imported. We need to give due care. Therefore, we must increase the efficiency of phosphorus. For soil having pH 7 or above, phosphate fertilizer must have 30 to 50% water soluble P. Only 15 to 20% of the applied P is taken up by a crop. Phosphorus fixed in soil has residual effect and contributes to the succeeding crops. On acid soils, ground phosphate rock can be directly used. This is a good strategy to use rock phosphate. Single superphosphate should be preferred over diammonium phosphate because of sulfur supplying capacity. Apply organic manures and incorporate crop residues. So these are the options to improve phosphorus use efficiency of fertilizers. Now let us see the case of potassium. Most alluvial and black soils are fairly high in alluvial K. So under those conditions, there may not be a response to potassium application. Red loams and laterite soils are poor in K and need adequate and frequent potassium application. High yielding varieties or hybrids and intensive cropping systems are continuously depleting soil K, and for good yield, adequate K fertilizers are therefore necessary. All K fertilizers are to be imported, therefore we need to be careful. Potassium can also leach from the soil. Irrigation water supplies some potassium to the soil. So we must count for this water, this potassium also. Some more strategies for potassium fertilizers. About 60 to 70% of K removed by crops is in straw. This is very important. Thus, crop residue recycling is a good way to replenish soil K. All ash from cow dung cakes should be returned to soil. It is very rich in potassium, so it should be returned back to the soil. Crop producing starchy foods such as potatoes, sweet potatoes and tapioca, they need more potassium. Crops which need transport of lot of carbohydrates in their bodies, they require more potassium. In acid sandy soils, leaching of K could be rapid, and under such conditions, split application of K could be useful. So there is research that under certain circumstances, a split application of potassium was found to be useful. It increased the potassium use efficiency. Now some general remarks about the NPK fertilizers. Soil test recommendations should be followed. Wherever possible, soil should be tested for nutrients, and according to the recommendations, the nutrients should be supplied. Include a legume in a cropping system. Legume have very important role for increasing the physical, chemical and biological properties of soil. Therefore, they help in improving the nutrient availability and uptake of the nutrients, and also they improve the physical condition of the soil. So therefore, to increase nutrient use efficiency for any nutrient, you must follow the crop rotations. You should include the leguminous crops in the rotation. Balanced NPK application along with organic manures is the key to efficient fertilizer use and sustainable agriculture. Efficient cultural practices like proper tillage, sowing time, seed rate, water and weed management, and proper plant protection measures increase the efficiency of applied NPK. Now about balanced fertilization and integrated nutrient management. So these are better options to support the soil health, to support the health of the economics, means to get the more returns, and to protect the environment. All means if we want sustainable management of soil fertility, if we want sustainable production also, if we want good quality environment also, if we need minimum adverse effect of agricultural practices of fertilizer application on the environment, then up to now research suggests that balanced fertilization and integrated nutrient management is the best way. It is the key for sustainable farming. So balanced fertilization means applying all the nutrients required for the plant growth and development in right proportion and adequate amounts, and there should not be any one nutrient should not be too low or too high, and all the nutrients should be present. Means fundamentally this balanced fertilization is based upon Liebig's law. Liebig's law of minimum, I think it was proposed in 1840. So based upon that law, balanced fertilization should be followed, and it is possible only by getting the soil tested. And now the question comes that what should be the source of nutrients? Source of nutrients should be integrated. That is why integrated nutrient management is important. Here we should supply nutrients through your crop residues, through crop rotations, through organic manures, whatever way possible. There are variety of organic manures, whatever is locally available can be used. And then biofertilizer, and of course some fertilizers can be used. However, in organic farming fertilizers are not allowed, but in conventional farming you can make combination of fertilizer also. So therefore this balanced fertilization and integrated nutrient management is the way forward to improve the nutrient use efficiency. Now finally see this last slide I think of the today's lecture, and there are 4 strategies suggested to improve the nutrient use efficiency. One is strategic options. We need to follow, understand strategic option. It includes improving supply and demand synchrony. So this is not directly in the hand of farmer, but some extension experts, some scientists can guide the farmers to apply the nutrients as per the demand. Improvement in soil health, we can suggest or we should improve the soil health, because soil health is the key to increase the nutrient use efficiency. If our soils are not healthy, they will not be able to support the good plant growth for a long time. Improvement in varieties, of course plant breeders need to pay some attention to breed the nutrient use efficient varieties. Varieties that can do better under the reduced level of nutrients. So those kind of genotypes are required to be developed. Then next is management options like site specific nutrient management needs to be practiced by the farmers. In this case there is saving of the nutrient and increase in the efficiency of the nutrient. So this is important, and it also conserves the environment. Integrated nutrient management I just discussed, it is the key to increase the nutrient use efficiency. Improving certain application methods of the fertilizer. We discussed in detail in some of the lectures what are the efficient methods for fertilizer application. Integrated crop management is a new concept which is coming up. In ICM we use all the best management practices. And then certain tools and technologies are also available that must reach the farmer. Extension agencies should come in picture, like leaf color chart is a very cheap strategy to improve nitrogen use efficiency. Other things like decision support system, remote sensing, GIS, precision farming, etc. can benefit the nutrient use efficiency. And of course, certain policy options are also required to be taken into consideration, like communication and dissemination of technology. Whatever is known to improve the nutrient use efficiency, whatever technologies or knowledge is there, it should be transferred to the farmers. Improving management skills of the farmers is also important. Private-public partnership is also important, particularly in funding or credits or technical know-how. There is certain private players like some fertilizer manufacturers, companies, they are helping the farmers, some seed companies, they are also helping the farmers, and of course we need to improve the infrastructure. So overall there are 4 important strategies like strategic options, management options, tools and technologies, and policy options by which we can improve the nutrient use efficiency. Therefore, I can conclude this lecture by saying that you need to follow the balanced fertilization, and you need to adopt integrated nutrient management, improve the soil health, and if all these happen, then definitely the profitability of the crop production will increase, the nutrient use efficiency will increase, and there will be reduced losses of nutrients from the soil, and it will save our planet Earth. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you.